Merhaba from Keswick Village. This is the Rorschach Turkey update from the 11th of March 2025. A quick summary of what's going down in Turkey. On Saturday the 8th, prosecutor issued an arrest warrant for Ahmet Kurtuluş, the deputy chair of Istanbul's Kadıköy Municipal Council, from the main opposition, the Republican People's Party, or CHP, after a dispute during a council meeting. The investigation includes charges of misuse of office and obstruction of freedom of expression. The day before, on Friday the 7th, Kurtuluş cut off Bilgili, a council member from the ruling Justice of Development Party, citing time limits. Bilgili accused him of enforcing the rule selectively. Upon this, Kurtuluş ordered her removal, saying literally, quote, "remove this one," end quote. Upon this, Kurtuluş ordered her removal, saying literally, quote, "remove this one," end quote. With Women's Day around the corner, the exchange caught people's attention. President Erdogan seized the opportunity to call the CHP misogynistic, tying the clash on broader debates on women's rights. Speaking of Women's Day, thousands of women marched on Saturday the 8th in Istanbul's Beyoğlu district from the annual Feminist Night March. Despite the Istanbul governor's office banning the demonstration, citing public safety, police blocked access to Taksim Square and surrounding areas, but protesters gathered on a parallel street, chanting slogans both in Turkish and Kurdish. Police warned the crowd their slogans were illegal, likely referring to the use of Kurdish, but protesters continued in defiance. After the march, the protesters shared a statement in Arabic, Kurdish, and Turkish, condemning authoritarians' policies, violence against women, and media suppression. The police detained over 100 protesters, marking another heavy-handed response to the demonstration. On Friday the 7th, Özgür Özel, the head of the CHP, expressed concern over rising violence in Syria. He pointed to clashes since December last year between pro-Assad groups, which supported the former president of Syria, and the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham jihadist organization. Özel warned that the rise in civilian casualties and the threat of massacres posed a serious risk to minorities, particularly Elvis and the sect within Islam and Latakia. He urged the Turkish government to act and support diplomatic efforts to prevent further deaths. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that over 180 people, including Alvi civilians, were killed in 2 days of violence. Protests also erupted in Turkey's Adana and Hatay provinces, condemning the attacks. Still on the opposition, on Sunday the 9th, Ekrem İmamoğlu, the Istanbul municipality mayor, launched his primary presidential campaign in Izmir, calling the CHP primaries a democratic revolution. He said the party was rejecting centralized politics and embracing the people's will. On the 23rd of March, the CHP will hold its primary elections where party members will vote to choose their candidate. Rather than leaving the decision to a small leadership group, İmamoğlu said this process strengthens democracy and sets an example for Turkish politics. More on İmamoğlu, as just a few days before, on Tuesday the 4th, he said authorities had frozen assets belonging to his close associates, including those involved in his campaign and municipal contracts. A strategist involved in İmamoğlu's campaign said his accounts and properties were frozen without explanation. He viewed the move as an attempt to sideline İmamoğlu politically. Authorities haven't given any details on the investigation yet. In similar news, on Friday the 7th, the Trade Ministry launched an investigation into Videt Maylar, a well-known gourmet, over a YouTube video titled "A 4-Course Meal for 40 Liras. Is this price real?" about Istanbul's municipality's public restaurants run by the CHP. Authorities accused him of implicit advertising after he reviewed one of Istanbul's municipality-run restaurants offering affordable meals for 40 liras, which is a little over $1. If found guilty, he could face a fine. The inquiry began after someone filed a complaint through the Presidential Communication Center. Ekrem İmamoğlu condemned the move, calling it an attempt to discredit the initiative. He said the government had mocked and dismissed these restaurants and that it now targeted users because their success posed a political threat. Basically, the government doesn't like these restaurants because the CHP governs Istanbul. With rising economic hardship, they've become a lifeline. Also on Friday, Turkey officially joined the Svalbard Treaty, expanding its rights to economic and scientific activities in Svalbard, a Norwegian archipelago in the Arctic. The agreement grants Turkish citizens and companies the right to own property, reside, and engage in fishing, mining, and maritime activities. The treaty, signed in 1920, recognizes Norway's sovereignty over Svalbard, while allowing signatory nations equal access to its resources. With this move, Turkey aims to strengthen its Arctic research presence. Turkish scientists will be able to conduct studies in the region, and students can attend the Svalbard University Center, a Norwegian archipelago in the Arctic. On to some environmental news. Izmir's Cleanliness Department discovered a significant environmental violation during their inspections. They found the Ekoverserv Group, a recycling company, was improperly dumping waste. Investigators later stated the waste contained radioactive materials. Izmir's municipality stated that it didn't grant any permits for such dumping, emphasizing that the actions violated both environmental and radioactive waste regulations. They've reported the case to the Izmir Ministry of Environment, requesting legal action against those responsible. On another note, Knight Frank, a London-based real estate firm, ranked Turkey 25th worldwide in the number dollar millionaires. Sweden placed just above, while the Philippines and New Zealand followed. The report found that over 6,000 people in Turkey have over $10 million in wealth. Globally, the United States led with over 900,000 millionaires, followed by China with nearly half that number. The total number of individuals with at least $10 million grew by 41,000 last year, reaching 2.3 million. The number of people over $100 million also surpassed 100,000. The Ministry of Trade blocked 5 websites promoting illegal firearm sales, citing violations of advertising regulations. The sites were ordered to remove the content within 24 hours, but failed to comply, leading to excess restrictions. The ministry has intensified its crackdown on firearm-related ads as gun violence remains a concern. According to the 2024 Ümmet Foundation's Turkey Armed Violence Map, more than 3,800 reported incidents last year resulted in about 2,400 deaths and 3,800 injuries. On Friday, the 7th, the Radio and Television Supreme Council, or RTÜK, signed a protocol with Istanbul Family Foundation to regulate media content under the pretext of protecting family values. The agreement included expanding the Good Night Children Project, which promotes bedtime programming with family-friendly banners, introducing a family-friendly broadcast hour, and funding cultural productions to reinforce traditional family structures. Ebubek Şahin, the council's president, said RTÜK would intensify efforts against LGBT representation in the media, calling it a threat to national values. President Erdogan has declared 2025 the, quote, year of family, end quote, as officials push for restrictions on gender affirmation procedures and a potential law criminalizing public expressions of LGBT identities. Meanwhile, on Saturday the 8th, an Istanbul court accepted an indictment against Orhan Turan, the president of the Turkish Industry of Business Association, or TÜSAD, and Mehmet Ömer Arif, the head of its High Advisory Council, over their remarks criticizing government policies. The Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office charged them with publicly spreading misleading information after they called for judicial independence at a recent association meeting. The indictment seeks sentences ranging from 2 to 5 years. Police briefly detained them last month and imposed a travel ban over the same issue. TÜSAD, the country's top business group, has frequently urged the economic and legal reforms with its latest statements drawing government backlash. And to wrap up this edition, on Monday the 10th, Soju newspaper reported that BIM, Migros, and Shock, the three biggest chain markets in the country, announced they were under investigation by the Competition Authority. While the companies confirmed they were informed of the probe, they made it clear that they weren't told why. They also stressed that the investigation doesn't mean they violated any laws or will face fines. The Competition Authority hasn't provided details yet since the news broke. BIM's stock has dropped, with shares falling by around 4% before recovering slightly. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. If you have any feedback, send us an email at info@rorschach.com. We want to make our updates better for you. Hoşça kalın.